the students, up. And it's the same thing for, other communities, raise those communities up, raise those disenfranchised people up. Um, I feel like a lot of people are selfish. I'm not sure why, but, they don't think about others quite the way that we do sometimes. I think because, once you're a black belt, you kind of like, well, I got to take care of these white belts and blue belts, kind of. You, I felt that way. Like, I can't just beat up everybody. Like, that's not fun. Nobody's ever going to want to train with you or study with you or whatever. So,
You know, it's interesting though you say that, because one of the things that I struggle with is eliminating the hierarchy. Obviously, we have knowledge and abilities that we have accrued over the years, but that really doesn't make us different. Like,
mhm.
yeah, we're able to teach, or you might compete at a much higher level than these other people, but at the end of the day, when we leave the mat, we're all the same. And so, there have been articles. I think Jiu-Jitsu Times had a great article earlier this year on hero worship in jiu-jitsu.
Mm.
And there still is this pedestal that black belts are often placed on, which can be understandable if it's only with regard to jiu-jitsu. But outside of that, I mean, you look and see like who gets involved in training jiu-jitsu, and there are doctors, there are lawyers, there are human rights activists, there are some not so great people as well. But for the most part, you have this phenomenal community and this phenomenal network. And the best times I've had when training jujitsu are when you see people as people and not a hierarchy because of belt, both on and off the mat. I mean, I remember like training at Henzo's, and I recently watched the documentary on Tony Bourdain, which was pretty rough because of what happened. But I remember, those days where here he is, like, even though he's a blue belt, it's Anthony Bourdain. Like, this is a guy like I love watching and look up to. And you talk to him, he's like, yeah, just call me. The first time I met him, he's like, yeah, just call me Tony. And we're just like talking because we're both tired after training. And it's just that human to human connection. And that was one of the things that has always stuck with me about him is he entered the mat and he was just him. He was just this person. And so that was a lesson. I think I was a brown belt at the time. That was a lesson, even at that point, that really stuck with me. And you see our goal, not just as black belts, but as people, as leaders, is to empower others. And what does that ultimately mean? That means sometimes instead of being out front, you be behind. That way you can help this person get to where they need to be and be out front. And I think a lot of that just comes from instilling confidence. And many people who get into jiu-jitsu, because there's this ego check that occurs on the mat being tapped out multiple times, they tend to lose their self-efficacy or confidence in general. And that's where they start to build up, a brown or a black belt much more in general than just in jiu-jitsu. And it's our job to remind them that ultimately we're all people. We're all people. There are people much smarter than me who are doing great things that I will never be able to accomplish outside the mat. And so we all have our unique skills and abilities, and we're all people, but we can all help each other ultimately. And so in this regard, going back to what I was saying about that mountaintop, in this regard, in jiu-jitsu, I could probably help others and pull them up to the point where they're beating me. But I would hope in other regards, like, coding or another skill that I'm not necessarily proficient at, speaking Swiss German, that someone else would be able to help me get up to that level. And then we're able to go from there. And so I think I say all that on a higher level because it's all about a human journey. Like when you and I 50 years from now are looking back at this conversation and it's got like billions of views, or who knows, it might have only a couple thousand, who knows, regardless, like
Mhm.
how do we want to look back and say, yeah, we have continued on our journey and we have helped others. We've helped so many other people that we have shifted jujitsu. We've made jujitsu better. We've made the regions we live better, and we've made the whole world a better place for everyone.